Everyone. My name is Melissa Whitaker, and I'm the CEO and founder of Melissa Whitaker International. And I am so excited to meet with you guys today on such an exciting summit to talk about AI and really get down to the nitty-gritty about how we can really utilize this tool to scale our businesses, increase our revenue and sales, and ultimately reach peak sales performance. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you here. I'm so excited for the information that we're going to dive in here for today. Now, as you all know, you are receiving all kinds of amazing tools at this summit regarding AI and how we can utilize it and maximize it to really scale our businesses. So, one thing I want to start off with today is I'm going to give you just a little bit of a background about who I am. I know some of you are wondering, who is Melissa Whitaker, right? So I can tell you I've been in business for 16 years and I've helped thousands of people around the world see massive results and frankly scale their businesses to unbelievable numbers. I've helped a lot of entrepreneurs and individuals, and as an organization, we really help companies with and entrepreneurs with coaching, accountability, and mindset for peak performance. Now, I'm very thankful. I've also been able to co-author two best-selling books. I've been able to be a keynote speaker internationally, so hopefully making a big impact out there in the world, and especially even today through this summit, and also making sure that I'm a certified peak performance coach and making sure that you can receive the highest level of breakthroughs, not only today in the summit, but anything in the future to help you grow your business. Now, let's get started here. Now, I know you're thinking when we talk about sales, I always hear this, Melissa, is AI going to replace us? Is AI going to replace my creativity? And I think we all hopefully know now that's not going to be completely the case. I mean, the reality is that yes, AI is a fabulous tool, but it's a tool, right? I know you've heard this before, but AI will not replace great salespeople and entrepreneurs. But entrepreneurs and salespeople who use AI will replace perhaps those who don't. And I know that's not the first time you're hearing that, but I'm letting you know that that human to human connection can never be replaced. And so I'm here today to really show you some really key ways that we can use it, just as I mentioned, as a tool, but a powerful tool. Now, when we hear that, or I hear those questions, I know people get nervous. And there's two camps, right? There's the people who say, I don't know, I'm really nervous that I'm not going to have enough business or it's going to replace me or my creativity. And there's the other camp that says, hey, I want to harness this thing. How can I maximize it? And that's what we're learning today in this summit. And today we're going to look at ways how we can seize a tremendous opportunity for growth. So let's get started in this area around peak sales performance, right? Peak sales performance isn't about working harder today. It's about working smarter with AI as your personal assistant. Well, what does that look like? Let's talk about a framework that I like to go over. It's called our AI sales performance model. We start with how we can maximize AI, and we're going to drill down today in some of these categories. How do we research smarter and faster? How we can utilize AI so we can communicate better, more articulate, infuse some additional extras that we can fine tune with our energy. We can sell more strategically. We can save massive time in the process. And ultimately, it helps us scale our performance. And that should be exciting for everybody on here. Okay, let's get started with that very first one. I know you're thinking, well, how am I researching and how is it going to speed my process? Well, when we use AI, you can ask AI, specific questions about industries that you may target or your ideal clients, prospects, Some of you may even call it your avatar. What does that look like for you? And perhaps even companies, if your clients or ideal clients are organizations or companies, or if they are avatars, what are their key or top challenges that they may be experiencing? Right? Now, why would we even drill down to this level? Because in today's age, gang, it's not enough to wing it. That is not going to grow and scale your business the way that I know that you want to scale it. And what worked for you before when maybe you were just kind of getting by and winging it, so to say, is not going to take you to the next level. So, what are the results by drilling down in these key areas? By using AI, we can walk into conversations more prepared, more confident, and frankly, more credible. So AI doesn't remove the human element in sales, it removes the busy work. So we as humans can actually sell. Now, I know some of you are thinking, Melissa, I am not a salesperson. Listen, if you want to say you're a marketer or you attract clients, whatever you want to utilize that as your terminology, that's fine. But the reality is, we are all selling. We are all selling. We're selling our ideas. We're negotiating with people on a daily basis. But gang, it shouldn't be a dirty word. It shouldn't be something that we're worried about. It's something that we actually can capitalize on in a great way because what does that mean? We're serving at our higher level. If we're helping more people and more organizations, we're increasing our revenue and profit, but it's through service and impact. And so that's a good thing. That means that we are not being selfish. We're not holding back, the strategies that we know can catapult other people to their next level. We're sharing them, we're serving them, and therefore we're growing. But we have to have those key bits of information to really build that trust faster, to be able to really hone in on who we can help and how we can help them. Now, let's look at the second part of our framework, and that is it can help us to communicate better. We can use AI, and if you haven't done this yet, I encourage you to. We're going to go through some exercises today live on this summit, so don't worry about that. But you can put in really good prompts that helps you to tailor really good, specific, articulate, jolting emails, very professional proposals and presentations, and just all together, just really having a wonderful messaging that connects faster with your ideal clients. Now, when we utilize AI to do these specific things, what are the results that we can experience or expect? Well, we as entrepreneurs and salespeople, we want to capture attention faster. And sometimes, let's face it, we just need some creative ideas to get us started, but then we can fine tune it in our energy, in the way that we would word something. But it gets us flowing and going, and it's faster. We don't just sit here for half an hour or an hour trying to put together that perfect email. You know what I'm talking about? Some of you know, right? Some of you say, yes, Melissa. I sometimes sit here and I work so hard on that perfect email, but it takes me a lot of time. Well, those days are gone. We can utilize this amazing, powerful tool to help us get started, narrow it down quickly, and just fine tune it, right? The best entrepreneurs and salespeople are no longer just communicators. We are AI powered communicators. That's powerful. Now let's move to number three. Number three is sell more strategically. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but some things have gotten a little bit more competitive out there because people who are embracing AI tools are coming to the market faster, are fine tuning that articulate, jolting conversation to get attention right away. So we have to be strategic. We can't just go out there and think that it's all just going to fall into place. We have to take some proactive steps, right? So AI can help us to prepare better discovery questions, can help us to think through potential objections and maybe how to handle that or be prepared to handle those. And also can help us to structure different ways of how we're doing our proposal that can elevate our marketing, elevate our branding of our organization and us as individuals. And ultimately, when we apply strategy to our process, we have a higher close rate, right? Because conversations create cash. And we have to be having more conversations. We have to make sure we're showing up at that higher level. And when we do that, we have a higher close rate. So keep that in mind. When you ask too, is AI ever going to replace us? AI doesn't close deals, gang. We close deals, right? Relationships close deals. It's a natural progression, but it's human connection, it's trust, it's relationship. So AI just helps us to get to the relationship faster. So don't worry, we're on the right road. Number four, also, it can help us to save massive time. Now, I know you've heard this, that's not a new concept, but I want to give you some ideas of what am I referring to. I want to make sure we're giving you tools today about how to use AI for writing, research, preparation, so we can actually spend more time having conversations, selling instead of preparing, having more conversations instead of preparing, right? So those are key factors which we are going to look at here in a little bit. And number five is ultimately we want to scale our performance. Now, I'm going to break this up in two categories here because some of you who are on the summit today, you may be a solo entrepreneur. And by utilizing these tools, and if they're taught correctly and they're implemented properly, your performance improves. But now, some of you on the summit today may say, Melissa, I have a team. My business has been growing and scaling, and I have a team. You may have two people, you may have five people, you may have 20 people. And some of our clients that we also serve, we help small business entrepreneurs. We also help corporate clients. So some of our corporate clients, and some of you may be on here, if you are working with corporate clients, what's really great about these tools is that when again they're taught and implemented properly, your average performers on teams improves. Top performers become elite. And that's what we want, right? We want elite top performers, whether it's us is thriving and running our business, or whether it's we're empowering our team to do it as well. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and I'm gonna break out of this for 1 second because I want us to make this real. Let's look at real examples of how we can cultivate this and how we can break it up, at least for today. I'm going to go over 3 implementation examples. For time's sake, that's probably all we have time for. But of course, there's many more things we can be utilizing as we mentioned before. But let's focus on these first top 3. The first example I want to go over is around AI prospecting, right? It's about the research on our prospecting. It should only take you seconds. I mean, normally entrepreneurs and salespeople, those of us who are always trying to find, making sure we're finding our ideal clients, we may spend 30 to 45 minutes sometimes researching things about our ideal clients. Or where do we find them? How do we hone in on where they're hanging out? Whether you help corporate companies, we have sales professionals who are doing research on the company, on executive titles. It really just depends on those 2 different buckets. But nonetheless, you're doing research, or hopefully you're doing research. We have to be strategic. So I don't want you aimlessly just, winging it out there. We have to apply some strategy. With strategy requires us to show up with our game, right? Show up with research, ready to go, connecting with the right people. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch over to AI right now, and we're going to plug in this prompt. I'm going to play it off today as something I would put in there for my organization, so it's real world. But I want to encourage you as you're going through this. I really want to encourage you, though, to make sure that of course, you're just going to be swapping out some of the key information for your products and services. And when it comes to putting in certain industries or information, you'll be just slightly modifying it for your scenario. Okay. All right. So the first prompt is I'm going to be copying this over is I'm going to put it in, say, act as a sales researcher. Summarize this company, identify their likely business challenges, and suggest 3 sales conversation starters. Now, here's the key thing. Let's say we're going to look at a company right now because I'm going to be working with or looking at a company to work with their sales team, their sales leaders, their culture. In this prompt, if you work with businesses, All right. You're going to copy and paste this in, and then we're going to add a company name to it, their website for that name, and have it use that to find all the information we're asking it to do. And in the results of it, we're going to be looking for industry information, likely pain points. We're going to be looking for intelligent opening questions. Okay. So let's go ahead and I'm going to switch over my screen here. Okay. I'm going to copy it. I've already put it over here on a Word doc to make it a little bit easier for everybody. Of course, you can be screenshotting it as well. It's no problem. All right, we're going to jump right in because I want to make sure that you are getting actionable items today, actionable steps that you can leave this session and feel empowered to take these simple things we're going over, but to make huge mad results. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy and paste this in. Now, here's what I've done. I've taken that exact prompt I mentioned to you as our first example, but I'm taking a real company that I have been prospecting and looking at and starting to talk with people or starting to have relationships with them on a networking event, where however you're comfortable with doing that. And I'm putting their website in here. So again, AI can use that as it's how it's searching for the information I'm asking it to look for. So here's the key thing. You put that in there, you enter it in for like ChatGPT, for instance. And I know there's a lot of different tools out there. Everyone at the summit's going to be going over their specialty area of how they're using AI and how they're doing these different things, right? But here's what's wonderful. If you are trying to do research on this company, what would you normally do? You may go to their website. You may look at their LinkedIn page. You may look at other social media platforms. Maybe they have a Facebook company page, or maybe they have other company pages that you're researching. But that takes time. You're looking at the website, you're hunting and pecking here and there. When you come in here, it takes that elongated time and it shortens it to seconds. I mean, seconds, right? Look how fast this came up. Look how fast this came up. So you can see here, I put in Barrett's Technology Solutions, and it comes up immediately with what they do. What's the positioning? Like, what's their positioning in the marketplace? What does that translate for us when it comes to sales? But then it takes it to that next step I asked it to do. So, what are the likely business challenges that they may be experiencing based on what their specialty area is? You can see revenue volatility, project-based sales. In my case, I'm putting information there regarding sales for them since we do sales, training, coaching, consulting. I'm focusing on that because it's relevant for what we're talking about today, too, about selling at peak performance and scaling your business and growing your businesses. Same thing here. So here's some areas that they may be vulnerable, right? Revenue volatility, long complex sales cycles, dependency on referral ecosystems. And of course, it gives a little bit more to that about what that's regarding, right? Growth is likely relationship bound versus scalable outbound. And here's some of the main risks that they have to be aware of and that I can also help them with. Number 4, margin pressure from complexity. Number 5, post-sale service burden. Number 6, translating technical value into business value. And here's where I love that it continues and to really be powerful for us. That last thing I asked was provide for me 3 high impact sales conversation starters, right? This is so critical. I mean, this is going to catapult your strategy and your connection and your conversion rates of having those conversations that turn into cash, that has that right connection that you want people to go, wow, they really have done their homework. I feel like they get us. They see us. They understand us. They have a really good credibility or experience level of helping companies like ours, right? So you see here, pipeline and predictability. A question you can ask, how predictable is your pipeline today given how dependent projects are on build timelines and partner referrals? Now, why does this work? You're calling out the elephant in the room, lack of control over revenue timing. Hello, I love this. You should, I hope you love this, right? Because it's right there. You don't have to sit there and go, okay, well, what if you're new to your industry? If you're doing sales or you're new to who you're calling on, right? You may be an expert in your area as a coach, a consultant, a content creator, an entrepreneur, but some of you may be sales professionals or you may be a decision maker at your company and you have sales teams. We're taking all the guesswork out of it. So it's like, why are we keeping the struggle part? We're removing the struggle. We're providing you with key content here, right? That you can look at it and say, here is something that I can reach out to them about. This is why it works. And this is what's going to catapult my results faster, right? So we got pipeline and predictability, sales cycle compression, margin protection, right? Like why this works. This hits a hidden pain most won't openly admit. So if you know this and you mention it carefully in your question and see if they'll open up a little bit about that, and you can easily say something like, tell me more about that. Just, okay, tell me more. Peel back the onion is what we call that. When we're doing sales training, we always say, just say, tell me more and peel back the onion, right? Because you really want to get the core of it. What's going on for these companies? Or if you have an ideal client who is more like based off of an avatar and it's a person, again, starting to know, well, what makes them perfect avatar or ideal avatar for you? What are the common challenges for that avatar? Is there certain things that are also on here that you know for a fact that could be great questions? And this can provide for you some a little bit more tailored approach. It can also just create that spark for creativity that gets you going, right? Now, I also love that in the end, here it says strategic insights you can bring and use this to really stand out, right? So I love this. I'm going to go over some example here. Most integrators at your level don't have a sales problem. They have a sales systems problem. And of course, this is tailored to our services, but you would modify that for you. The difference between hitting quota and missing it usually comes down to how consistently opportunities are created, advanced, and protected, not just how well they are going to close or they're going to close. So that reframes the conversation away from training reps to building a repeatable revenue engine. Really solid partnerships is what we're looking for longevity of the growth of our organization to serve and help and have it be for a longer period of time and not a one-time situation, right? Now, I love this. So you'll notice this, it goes on a little bit more, of course, for some additional information for bottom line, really summarizing it, tailoring it, making it simple to look at. Now let's go back. Let's go back to the presentation. So as a reminder, this is what we did. We took this prompt here. We also added a website. Now, this website could be, again, for a larger company, a smaller company, a solo entrepreneur, if they have a business, right? Now, again, if you work with consumers, that will be a slightly different approach. But in the results, we got information that were critical to moving our business forward and our services forward based on that industry, which in this case, I use technology. What are the likely pain points? And also some intelligent opening questions. Now, what's the lesson here? AI helped us to do what? Walk into conversations. It could be smarter. It could be faster with really good articulation. Now, I want to stress here, and you know this, I want to stress this. Here's the key thing, gang. I mean, I really want to make sure you're not just copying things for verbatim and using it, right? I mean, make sure that's why the human connection is so important here. Make sure that you are fine tuning some of it. Make sure the energy is your energy in your words and how you would represent it. Now, if it looks pretty good, you can use most of it, great. However, sometimes you and I both know it might not be how we would say that. It may not be how we would actually do that. And so make sure that it represents you well. Make sure you have that strong branding and that it's your voice they're hearing. But we're utilizing this again, what? As a tool, not to replace us, to give us that speed and that beginning stage and that really drill down factors really quickly and really powerfully. So I can't stress that enough. Okay. Let's move to the second example, and we're going to be taking action. All right, so now we're going to build on top of that. So now we see all these things that we're looking at, a company's information that we want to make sure we're making some headway there for an ideal client, what their possible pains and challenges may be, how we can help them. Well, now we've got to make that connection. So AI does a great job of what? Writing high converting sales emails in a really short period of time. And this is so powerful because I don't want you wasting too much time doing this, right? So in here, we're going to add this to the same prompt we just did underneath it so it can build off of each other, which you'll see here, write a short B2B sales email because I'm helping with an organization here to a technology executive because I selected a technology company. Again, you'll switch that based on your ideal client, the industry, or whatnot. Introducing a program that improves the sales team's performance. Keep it concise and curiosity driven. All right. So we're going to take this. And again, I want to stress this before I switch over. After you receive the information that AI is giving you, you can always refine it. All right. Now, some of you know, say, hey, I've done this for a while. Now, some of you may have not known that who is on the summit today. You can refine it. Whatever you receive, you can say, hey, can you shorten this? Can you personalize this? Let's play around with the subject line a little bit more, right? Because this particular example is going to give you a subject line that is jolting, that is creative, but maybe it's not something you like or something you would use, right? So the lesson here I want to make sure we're looking at is AI can improve our sales messaging quality and can do it with speed. All right. So let's go back to this and I'm going to pop over to my Word document here just to make it a little bit easier for copying. I always copy stuff over too so that it can get everything done right away. So that's another best practice, by the way. Um, is that when you're using things, some people will use it on like a notepad, electronic notepad on here, a notebook. You can also copy and paste, of course, things to a Word doc to save things or utilize things again later on. Okay, so I'm going to grab it from my Word doc here. So again, you can grab it straight from wherever the prompt is located or type it in, but I want to save time. So I've gone ahead and made sure it's in a Word document just to make sure that we are utilizing our time well. And I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And I'm going to add it straight onto the one that I've already been working on. I mean, look at the speed of this, right? I mean, I just love it. Now, here's what's great. You can also tailor this just a little bit more. Like, let's say you have a contact name that you already know is an executive in here. All right. Like this one, I tweaked it a little bit to say an email to a technology executive. All right. And I want to make sure that we are tailoring it. So you always want to tailor it. If you have the person's name, you can also put the name of the person in here and it can automatically plug that name in for you here. However, you don't have to, and then you have to tailor it when you send it. But just make sure attention to detail, right? Don't just copy this where it says first name. Hopefully that's common sense, but I'm learning that sometimes common sense isn't as common today. So make sure you have their name in here and you don't just use that part of the template. All right, but you see there's a subject line. Quick question on sales consistency at Barrett's. You put their name of the person you're reaching out to. Hopefully, there's many ways that we help our clients to know how to get client names or prospects names. There's a lot of tools out there. There's free databases, there's LinkedIn where you can look up specific names for titles. There's a lot of different ways you can do that, right? So make sure you have the name. And of course, for me, I also have a business card here. So if you went to a networking event and you have a business card, it's right on there. Now, I love this because it says, I've been looking at how teams like Barrett's Technology Solutions scale revenue in a project-driven, high-touch environment, and I'm curious. How predictable is your sales performance quarter to quarter? We've built a program specifically for sales teams, navigating long cycles, multiple stakeholders, and high ticket deals, helping them to create more consistent pipeline, shorten decision timelines, and to protect margin without adding pressure to the client experience. Worth a quick conversation to compare notes? And then you put your information on there. See, what I love about this too, gang, is again, you don't have to come across salesy. You don't want to sound pitchy, but you want to be curious. You want to reach out with something that means something to them, that jolts them out of complacency, that in a subtle way is letting them know, you're letting them know, hey, what about this? Have you thought about this? These are things we see. Let's have a conversation and share ideas. I would love to share some ideas with you on how we help others in this specific area. People want that. See, they want to know what kind of results could you provide them? And they don't care as much about what we do as a company and who we are as a company right away. They care about, do we care about them? Have we done our research? Are we showing up with credibility and not wasting their time? Are we making sure we're making the proper connections and we're adding value? So we're reaching out with purpose and not just aimlessly. That makes a big difference on how well you're connecting. Okay, so this is great. But again, short and sweet, gang. Short and sweet. Let's go back to the other thing. You'll notice here, that one was already short, by the way, right? But you can, if it's too long, you can shorten it, personalize it, strengthen the subject line if you don't like it, or ask for a different one as a review. Okay, let's go to our third example here. The third one, as we build on this, is having AI give you certain clues and information to get you prepped and ready to go for a sales meeting, right? So you see the progression. First, it was about researching quickly. Then it's about getting their attention on perhaps email or utilizing some of that on a phone call. However, you see fit on that. You could be reaching out on social media. There are many different ways you could be reaching out to people you're reaching out to. We call that at MWI for my company a three-pronged approach, which means you can be reaching out in three different ways to make connection because you don't know how the person you're reaching out to, you don't know how they're wired. You don't know what their preference is on how to connect or communicate with you initially. Now, that may change later, but initially you don't know that. So, again, three-pronged approach. What you saw as an example email in this case, you could utilize that in many different forms. You could take parts of that for a phone call. You could take parts of that for a real quick intro or question just for open conversation on LinkedIn, on a message. You can put that on a DM of some kind and just say, hey, I'd love to have a conversation. Would love your opinion on this, right? Ask for opinions. Show up and ask for opinions. It goes a really long way. Okay, great. So when we do that, so we went from research to really having a jolting, good, high converting email in this case, or a prospecting way. Now we're taking it to having preparing for a sales meeting. So we're going to take this scenario, which I tailored it just a little bit more on my Word doc here too as well. But you can take a look at this because you can tailor it to your situation. And you're asking it, of course, here, AI, act as a sales strategist. I'm meeting with a VP of sales whose team is struggling to hit quota. And of course, that's my scenario of how I'm reaching out to people. However, yours will be different. You may say, I'm meeting with whoever your ideal client is. And what is their challenge? What's their top challenge or pain? And then you can put on there, give me 5 discovery questions and 3 insights I should bring to the conversation. Now, what are we looking for at the results? We're looking for intelligent questions, conversation strategy, and positioning ideas. Okay, positioning ideas. Now, I'm going to switch over to my Word doc again. And I'm just going to grab the one I tailored here. Right here. Okay. And I'm going to add that there. And voila. I mean, again, you can't argue with the speed on this, right? So what's really great here is now you can use this for 5 high impact discovery questions. You're going to come down where it gives you an example of the topics that they're really struggling with, a question to ask around it, and then it talks about like, why does this work? Like in this case, pipeline reality check. If I looked at your pipeline right now, where would you say the biggest gap is? Top of funnel volume, deal progression, or close rate? Now, why this works, it forces them to diagnose instead of defend. Most struggling teams already know the weak link, but haven't said it out loud clearly. I love that. That's really good insight. So, again, you might be thinking, Melissa, why are you utilizing this when you probably teach some of this, right? Yes, but again, I want to give you the tools of how to have some insights and suggestions, but we'll always need each of us. Our clients always need me and my team. Why? Because we have the human element of connection. We actually have emotions. We can hold people accountable. We can celebrate things with them and high five them. We can pick them up on hard days and we can help them to close the deal, right? So I don't get so worried about that because the reality is this is an incredible tool, but utilize it as a tool so you can scale faster. You can reach more people. You have a tailored system, but that's the key thing. Do you have a repeatable, proven system, a framework that you're operating under to make sure you're scaling appropriately? So I love this, right? Pipeline reality check, sales cycle friction, deal quality versus quantity, internal alignment breakdowns, forecast confidence. And then it continues on, right? Like three strategic insights you should bring into the room. Bam, right? That's like powerful. All right. You can see this and go into this a little bit more about your real problem likely isn't sales effort. It's perhaps a sales system consistency. Let's talk about that a little bit, right? So it's just they're discussion starters. It's to make sure that you are cultivating opportunity because you know you can help. And again, gang, I am definitely not the camp to say you're selling something to sell something, right? I mean, don't do that. That's where people get the icky feel for it. They don't get the icky feel when you have really identified who your ideal clients are. Whether that be a small business entrepreneur, whether that be a company with an entire team, you become that expert, really knowing what that ideal client looks like, really making sure that you know you can help them and serve them. Now, if they ask for something, there's a situation that you can't, be honest with them about that as well. Refer them to someone that you know could help them in a specific area that you can't. That will build trust. But again, what is that? That's the human element. So again, yeah, I want to really have a balance here for everyone who's on the summit. We're talking about strategy and amazing, powerful things about AI, and it is so powerful. But we all know we have to have the balance. The AI, the power of AI, and the things we can maximize and use, and also our human connection. And that cannot go away. So you have a lot of options here of how you can drill that down. Right? I love here too, it says how to position yourself. Subtle but powerful. Now, you can see here, many of you probably know too, the more you use either ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, and different ones that are out there as well too, they start to learn you, right? So my ChatGPT knows me, right? They knows that I'm very assertive. So sometimes I have to be intentional about being a little bit more subtle, but still powerful. So I love that it says that, right? Okay, so make sure you're utilizing it. And again, it's not about just whimsically trying it here and there, but empower yourself to play with this enough to get comfortable and use it for what you would like to use it for. Okay, that's what I'm going to challenge you with today. Now, let's jump back to the presentation. All right, great, gang. I hope this was helpful. And we also did some workshopping, right? So as I tailor up my presentation today, I hope you got some really strong actionable steps that you can take as soon as you leave this session and this summit. Now, I want to leave you with this last thought. The companies that will dominate the next decade are not the ones that are just going to be experimenting with AI. They are the ones that will use it well and or if you have a team, teach your sales teams how to use it well. So I hope this really finds you well and this information reaches you in a good way and that you feel good about that balance of AI and the human connection balance. Now, if you have any questions, by the way, please feel free to reach out. I'm always available. You can reach out to me. I'd love to answer any questions you have by any means and just serve you in any way I can. Now, I do want to mention that there will be a link at the bottom of this presentation with a free giveaway for you guys. And I want to make sure you see it Take advantage of it. It's my gift to you. It's the 51 ways to connect more with your prospects and your clients. And there's a lot of amazing ideas there, 51 different ways. So make sure you grab the link and make sure that when you go there, really simply, I'm going to just show you really quick so you know how easy it is here. When you go to it, it'll look like something like this. So I just want to make sure you can navigate it well. If you have any challenges, let us know. Just fill in your information right there. When you scroll down, you'll see some additional information that is available here for you. All right. And when you go through the form, it'll take you straight to a page where you can download it straight from that page. You will also get an email as well, but you can download it right away if you want to make sure you can do that. And there's some additional bonuses there for you as well. So if you want to look at those bonuses, feel free to do that. Again, my gift, our gift from my company to you, any way that I can serve you the best way possible. So I hope this finds you well. I hope again that you're going to take these tools and these ideas, and I hope this blesses you today. So thank you today and enjoy the rest of the summit.